welcome to the Mythical Beasts podcast. Now, today we have one very special guest, co-founder of Project Zoobook, team member of the Olympic Project and Bigfoot research team, and winner of the Dedicated Researcher of the Year Award 2018 and the 2020 Bigfoot Community Choice Female Researcher of the Year, Amy Bue. And we also have Craig Barnett here. Thank you for spending time with us today, Amy. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me on. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, fine.
Great. I'm excited.
Where are you based?
I'm in Ohio, over in the United States, in Northeast Ohio.
Oh, cool. Could you tell our listeners about Project Zoobook and how it got started and a little bit about yourself?
I sure can. I am a teacher over here in Youngstown, Ohio. And I'll tell you first a little bit about how I got started being interested in Bigfoot. I'm sorry, there's a motorcycle leaving. I never really was interested in the topic until about 11 years ago. In 2012, I was in a car, a passenger in a car going over a body of water here in Ohio. And I saw something very strange that was standing along the shoreline. And it was very far away still, so I'm not sure what it was. But the first thing I thought about, after looking at it a little bit, was that it looked like Bigfoot to me. Like I had seen TV shows when I had been younger. Yeah. So I knew that, about Bigfoot, but I never thought that could be something real. But whatever it was that I saw, it was very large, very broad in the shoulders, and it was definitely moving, so I knew it was alive. It fascinated me, and so that started me into looking at reports and reading every book I could find about it, and really got me into the whole topic, so that now 11 years later it takes up a large portion of my life.
Oh yeah.
It does.
That sounds really, really interesting. Were you scared?
I wasn't scared because I was in the car and we were going, kind of fast, and it was at least 100 yards away, which is 300 feet, I guess. Not sure what that is in meters, but it was, and it was just so crazy to me. I was like, there's no such thing as Bigfoot, so I wasn't really scared then. I've been in situations since then where I have been nervous, but then I wasn't. But you had asked about Project Zoobook, and that came about. I had joined some different research teams and then done a lot of research on my own. And then I had found on Facebook, I found some people that were very interested in Bigfoot, and they ended up being the primate department at a zoo here in the United States, and were very honestly interested in finding out if Bigfoot could be something real. So we started what we later called Project Zoobook, and it is a group that is comprised of several researchers like myself and a lot of scientists. So we've been doing this for about 5 years. We have Zoom calls every 2 weeks, And we have a lot of different side projects that different people are working on in different areas of the country that people are researching in.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of primate zoologists, anthropologists, primatologists, wildlife biologists, marine biologists, like lots of different people who are some who are like myself, who I call myself a hopeful skeptic, because although I do think Bigfoot could exist, and I think it probably does exist, like I've never had the really good sighting where I knew what I was looking at, you know. So there are still some days where I wonder about it, and so we have some scientists like that, but then I have other scientists who say they've seen them, so they are knowers, they say.
Hiya, Amy. Yeah. Sorry to bother you. Amy, this is Craig. This is Daniel's dad. Thank you so much for spending some time with him today. He's really excited, and you know, giving up your time is amazing. Thank you very much. It must have been really interesting then, because obviously when you got some who's dedicating part of their life to something like this, to then still be unsure of whether it's actually real or not, how does that affect you when you're actually doing your expeditions and stuff?
Yeah, it's such a strange thing, isn't it? Because most days I do think that they exist. You know, I just have to be very honest where I say that some days I have doubts, because I do spend so much time out in the forests. I travel a lot. I go out and I try to look for things, and I don't find things, you know. But then I know that that's the same for lots of animals, though, you know. So intelligently, I know that just because, for example, I'm leaving tomorrow to go to the Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania for a while to camp and look for Bigfoot evidence.
Wow.
Yeah, and I go there quite a bit, and you know, if I go there looking to find a black bear, chances are I will not find one. You know, you can go, you can look, you can hike, you can look for evidence and not find anything. But then occasionally I have seen a black bear, you know, so I know, we know that they're real and we know that they're there. But I do understand that just because you want to see something doesn't mean that you will, you know? And I happen to believe that if Bigfoot is real, that there are probably not that many of them. So it really, it's funny because I talk to a lot of people who say they've seen Bigfoot, but almost all of them start doubting yourself because you're like, well, it can't be true, you know, it can't be real. So it's a very strange mindset, I guess.
And going back to, you know, you said you're a teacher, and you know, your first kind of experience of seeing something. How did your kind of friends and family, students, I mean, do they know about, you know, your kind of work outside of that? You know, how did people around you kind of react when you said what you thought it might be?
Yeah, people are usually pretty good about it. Yes, as a teacher, my students all know that this is something that I do. I teach. How old are you, Daniel?
I'm 14 years old.
14, yes. So I teach your age. Like, I teach like 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds.
Okay.
And so a lot of them think I'm crazy, but a lot of them are very interested in it. So, you know, it's kind of fun to talk about Bigfoot at school. My coworkers are very polite about it. Some of them ask me questions, you know, but it's not too bad. But, you know, I have some family members who are very supportive and others who roll their eyes at me and I'm just like, what in the world? I'm the crazy aunt, you know. but it doesn't bother me. You know, I do a lot of outdoor shows where I go and set up a table and I ask hunters and fishermen if they have ever seen anything strange or heard anything strange. And the first time I went to do that, I was nervous, you know, thinking, are they gonna, you know, think I'm this crazy person, or are they going to talk to me? And just like at this point, you know, I don't really mind if people don't understand what I'm doing. But I just expect that, because I understand, like Bigfoot, it sounds crazy, but I always say that if you spend a little time really looking into it, talking to people, looking into the footprint evidence, looking into the history of it, it's not as crazy as it sounds. So,
and I think that's really good for, especially for someone like Daniel, to hear as well, because you know, Daniel has these kind of not obsessions, but I would say he gets really interested in stuff, and I think he's not doing, you know, what we would call a typical 14-year-old in England is doing nowadays, you know. And sometimes I think that Daniel may feel like the outcast a little bit, but it's really good to hear someone who actually is, you know, following that dream, following that idea, and researching.
And that's why I wanted to talk to you, Daniel, because I saw something about you, and then I joined your group, and then when you were asking for someone to talk to, I just, like I said, I don't know how interesting I am, but I want to encourage you in that, because go for what your interest is, go for what your dreams are. You know, it's not always pleasant, it's not always nice if people don't understand me, or if they think I'm stupid. That does bother me, that like just irritates me sometimes, because I know I'm not stupid and I know I have reasons for this, but you just have to like put that to the side and follow what your passion is, because that's how all the great discoveries have been made, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's really good words, thank you.
Sure. So Amy, what are some of the highlights of your career?
Well, oh goodness, I have been so blessed to have done some very, very special things. Sometimes from luck and sometimes from very hard work, which it looks like you already know from starting this podcast. Some of the highlights, well, one of the things that was a big highlight recently, or pretty recently, was last summer. I was invited to go to Montana to the Blackfoot Reservation, which is one of our Native American reservations. And I had met online, like you and I did. I had met two wonderful ladies who are both Blackfeet, and they asked me to come out, and they have been doing a project where they are collecting different Bigfoot stories from their tribal members.
Oh, really?
Yes. So myself and some of the members of Project Zubuk went out, and we camped on their private land, and they took us for a wonderful hike right outside of Glacier National Park, like overlooking the park, and showed us different places where the hairy man, they call it the Inimitipi, which is the hairy man to them, had been sighted and was supposed to live. And it was wonderful. It was exciting and beautiful. And we saw some grizzly bear and moose and different wonderful animals. And it was a little scary because, you know, I was in my little tent by myself at night.
Yeah.
Kept thinking about those bears.
I wouldn't be doing that, I tell you that.
Yeah, same.
It was very fun though. We didn't see any evidence of the hairy man or Bigfoot, but we got to speak to a lot of people who they just take it for granted that they're real. And one of the things that is my biggest fascination are all of the Native American and First Nations in Canada, all their stories, because you have such a history of stories of these wild men, hairy man, you know, that to me makes sense that something is there. You have thousands and thousands of witnesses reports and all of this Native American history where it's not just you know, stories or myths. They're saying these are real. I've been invited to go to the Navajo Nation. We haven't set that up yet, but they have like a police unit or a law enforcement unit that deals with Bigfoot.
Really?
Wow.
They do. So it's like they take it seriously. And so, we would talk to different tribal members out in Montana, and they'd be like, yeah, there was some in our garbage last week. It wasn't unusual to them. And we have, rock paintings and stories. And you look in British Columbia, you have like totem poles with an eagle and a whale and a Sasquatch, and they're just the same as anything else. So that was a wonderful experience.
When was the? I mean, I don't know if you know, but when was the first kind of recorded, like not evidence, but the first time it's been kind of said about this hairy man or the Bigfoot?
Oh gosh, I should know the answer to that, but my brain doesn't always.
No, that's okay.
Things.
That's all right.
But it's been hundreds of years. Like these stories go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. In Ohio, we have a story from the 1800s about that was written down by some settlers, where they said there was this hairy man-like creature that was chasing them. So that's just with the Westerners that came in and settled. But with the Native Americans, their stories go back on and on and on, written, and then with their oral tales too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what is the biggest challenge that you have faced on your expeditions?
Oh my. Well, I would say, I guess there's a couple answers I could give to that. For myself, I've had some physical challenges because I am a cancer survivor twice.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm good now though. And then I had been very sick from COVID, and all these things. So it's been frustrating to get my health back so that I can get out as much as I want to. So like I was supposed to be in Alaska this summer, and I had to postpone it because I just am not quite ready. I don't want to be out there with the grizzlies and not be able to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm getting much better. So that's been more frustrating challenges, but I'm stubborn, so I'll get there.
You're a survivor. Eventually. Definitely a survivor.
Yes. But then some challenges are just not, I think, like not feeling disappointed. If I save up my money and I fly out to Washington State or to Oregon, and there was one time I went out there and we had hiked into Mount Hood National Forest, myself and 3 of my colleagues. And we hiked in there several miles. We set up our camp next to a lake, spent a lot of time there. It costs money, for your flight and the car rental and everything. And then to not, we did have some strange things happen, but to not like have perfect evidence is sometimes frustrating.
Yeah.
But then I need to remember that there's never wasted time. When you go out in the woods, there's never wasted time trying. So I just, you do get a little disappointed once in a while, but I took some different classes and things to educate myself to look for other animals and plants. And so whenever I am out doing research for Bigfoot, like I'm about to do tomorrow, I also make sure that I am studying and looking for, like I said, other plants, fungus, trees, birds, and things like that. And so
it gives you something else to look for
as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really, really good idea, I think. Yeah. What do you think the most important equipment to you to use on your expeditions?
The have really good questions, Daniel. I've been on a lot of podcasts, and a lot of times they ask you the exact same questions, which is fine because you have different listeners, but you're asking me things I haven't even thought about. So I like that. I appreciate that. Well, at this stage, since I've been doing this for several years, I do have more equipment. Like I have different audio recorders. I love looking into the strange audio that has been found. So I think that's really good to have out, have them set up, catching anything you might hear. I have a FLIR, like a thermal imaging camera now, which helps me because I used to be terrified of being in the dark. And now, when I first started this, and now I'm not so much, because like when you look through those, you can see all around you, so it's not so scary. And then it records, so if I did see something, I could capture it. So I have parabolic ears and all of these kind of fancy things, but honestly, you don't really need that. When I started this, I didn't have any of that. And I still had so much fun. I think the best way to look for something is to go in and just, if we're camping, then we're camping. I gather the firewood and we fish and we just act normal. You don't really have to be, oh, I'm looking for Bigfoot, and I have to have all these fancy things. I think most people who have had sightings do not have any of those fancy things. So I don't know that you really need a lot of equipment. You just I feel it's important. Like I said, I went back to school to get my license to become a certified volunteer naturalist and learn a lot about birds and animals and plants and soil and water, and I wanted to make sure that I knew what was not Bigfoot out in the woods. So that knowledge is very important.
I was going to say, probably your biggest bit of equipment is actually the research that you do.
Yes.
To know what you're looking at.
Absolutely. And just to be safe, like I've taken, and it's, if you knew me, you would laugh at this, because when I started this, I didn't even know how to make a fire. Like I didn't know how to do anything, even with matches, but I went back to survival school and I learned how to take care of myself in the forest in case I were to get lost. I think those things are important. So yes, your knowledge, your awareness of what is not Bigfoot out there are so important. I agree with that. I don't think you need any fancy equipment.
Oh, good. So do you know of any instances of sightings in the UK?
I've heard about them. What is it called? Like the Green Man, I think there is, and things like that. But I will be honest with you that you've really piqued my interest in all of that, because I don't know that much. Mostly, just to be honest, because I haven't been there. So, if I was going to go there, I've only been in the airport one time on my way.
So we do apologize.
No, it was a fine airport. I had a proper British breakfast while I was there, so it was
good stuff.
I had never had baked beans on for breakfast before, and I like that.
Well, we go to Florida quite a bit. We enjoy the theme parks and stuff, and we go out there and have a breakfast at Denny's, and we go like, "Where's the baked beans?" They're like, "What?"
Right.
Yeah.
And baked beans are good. Oh, if you come to Florida sometime, we'll have to meet up and look for Bigfoot down in
absolutely.
We can go look for the skunk ape. But no, I honestly want to learn more about sightings and things in the UK, because I don't know them. Fun fact is, I was supposed to, I'd never been into Bigfoot before, but when I was probably your age, I had written a report about the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh wow!
For school, because my my teacher told us to write about something that we weren't sure if we believed in. So I chose that, and I was supposed to be an exchange student my junior year of high school to Scotland, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, where we live, we have the Exmoor Beast seems to be the main thing. So this is what's kind of got Daniel involved in it as well, and it's kind of like that whole kind of, each place has got its own kind of version or its own, and this is how it's got him kind of talking to people all around the world about different things, and then but even looking in the UK, we have our own, different things that he can be investigating.
Yes, that's awesome. I want to learn more about them.
To be funny, our next expedition is actually going to be based on the Exmoor Beast. So,
fantastic.
I saw that. You had mentioned that page, so I'll be following it.
Amazing. What is the most interesting thing that you've learned about Bigfoot over your fascinating career?
Well, one of the things, and I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but one of the things that I am involved in is something called the Olympic Project. And I am so proud to be a part of it, and it is so interesting, since that's what your question was. And if you'd like to learn more, I don't know how easy it would be for you to find it there, but I know it's streaming different places for free. There's a production company here called Small Town Monsters, and they did a series called On the Trail of Bigfoot. And
I think I've come across that at some point.
Okay. Well, there's one that's called The Discovery, and what I'm about to tell you about is documented in that documentary. But basically, they are a group that's out in Washington State in what's called the Olympic National Forest. And there it was a logging company who had a land surveyor that was out there in the forest. They were thinking of cutting those trees all down. And he came across a set of nests that were on the edge of a ridge. And he didn't know what they were, so he had to go tell his boss, and they couldn't figure them out. They went to the government, like Fish and Game Commission. They brought in a bear specialist and a wood rat specialist and all these people that were very smart, and nobody could understand what was making these nests. So finally, the owner of the logging company called in my friend Derek Randalls, who's the head of the Olympic Project Bigfoot research team, and they allowed us to go into that area and gave us some time to study these nests. They're trying to get DNA collected from them. Just spending a lot of time setting up audio, and it's just been a thrilling project. But it's fascinating because these nests are, I've been out there with two of my primate zookeepers, and they looked at them, and Dr. Meldrum from he's been out there. He does a lot of work with it. Cliff Barrickman from Finding Bigfoot does a lot of work with it, and they're absolutely fascinating. They are huge ground nests that definitely something with opposable thumbs has made. They are very remote into the forest, so if it's some kind of a hoax, it would be crazy because nobody would be likely to find it. They are like they found over 20 nests in the first area, and they are very different as in terms of how long they've been there. They found in the point nest, it was overlooking like a ledge that went down to a salmon stream, and they found these two rocks in there that have been have grooves that match up, so something's been clacking these rocks. Footprints, handprints, hair, all kinds of things that they're looking into right now. And what's what's most exciting to me is when I do meet a new scientist, I always lead them to look into that, because I don't think the general public really understands that we're not. I don't know if do you have the Smurfs cartoon out in England?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not out there looking for Smurfs. We're looking for we're looking for something that's leaving nests and footprints, and it's something that a lot of scientists are interested in. So it's very exciting, and like I said, a lot of people don't know that, so it's fun to educate them about that.
Oh, it's fascinating.
Yeah. Are you aware that there seems to be strange orbs and balls of light that surround Bigfoot, and what are your thoughts and feelings about this?
I am aware of that, and I'm so glad you asked that, because especially over here in the United States, we have like a big Bigfoot community, right? And you meet a lot of people, and sometimes the people argue with each other about what Bigfoot is. And I always like to say that although my interest in Bigfoot is from a scientific point of view, where I wonder if there could be some type of a primate out there, I don't know. I don't know what it is, and I don't know where the truth will take us. So I think it's important to look at all the stories. And so I have taken a lot of reports from people who see strange things. I've seen some strange things in the woods, some different lights and stuff. And I wonder, like, if more than one thing is going on. Like, I don't automatically associate lights and strange things with Bigfoot. I think there could be two things happening.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, if Bigfoot was proven to be some type of an alien or something paranormal, I feel that our grasp of science is not complete. Like, there can be a logical explanation for something that we just don't know yet. We just don't know what that explanation is. So I don't know. I do know that if it's something paranormal, I'll probably run away, but It's interesting, isn't it? I took a report one time from a man who was on a snowmobile, and he saw what looked like a shape that was walking along his back tree line in the field back there that was changing colors. And so it's, I feel like what is it, the hair that looks different in the sunlight?
Yeah.
Is it something we can't explain, or is there something far stranger going on? I'm not sure, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone who has started to research Bigfoot?
My advice would be, first of all, to have fun.
Yeah.
Secondly, read a lot. When I started into this, I just read every book that I could get my hands on. And even if you don't agree with everything in one book, it's still worthwhile to read, because it gives you different perspectives of things. I think it's great that you're talking to people and getting advice, but I encourage you to follow your own passion and your own path, and please don't let anybody discourage you, because for a long time when I first started into this, I had people who would really discourage me, because they would say, well, what could you contribute, or what do you know? You haven't been doing this. And I often say that I hope it's somebody brand new that finds really good evidence to just to like say to all those people.
That's really good advice.
Yeah.
New and fresh eyes are a wonderful thing, I think. So, I have respect for people who have a lot of knowledge and experience, but new eyes are, to me, just as important.
Yeah. Is there any other things you investigate or have an interest in?
I would say, I am still a little bit interested in sea monsters and lake monsters and things like that. We have a few in Project Zubik. We have a few marine biologists, I think 3 marine biologists who are in the group. And so we've had some nights where we talk about the possibility of sea monsters and things. And I don't see myself ever actively investigating those because I'm scared of the ocean. I'll be on the shore and waving at the other people. But Doug Hychuk, who is a producer of Sasquatch Legend Meets Science and Monster Quest, which was an old TV show, he's part of our group, and he was the guy who invented a camera that first captured the giant squid.
Wow.
A live giant squid on the camera. And so that type of thing absolutely fascinates me. I feel like I use the word fascinate too much, but it's true. But all of those sea creatures, I'm sure there's things we've never seen there,
Yeah.
I'm interested. There's a gentleman named Gareth Patterson who wrote some books. One was the Beyond the Secret. Yes, and we've had him on a call, and I just forgot the name of the cryptid that he, the hominid that he looks into there with the elephants. It's another bipedal, upright, primate-looking thing, and I just forgot the name of it, but I think that's really interesting. The orang pendek is something that definitely could be real. So really anything, it could be a bug, an insect that they find that they didn't know about or thought was extinct. I'm all interested in any kind of thing like that.
So before we finish, how can our listeners follow your fascinating work?
Well, if anybody has any questions or knows of any scientists interested or anything like that, and Daniel, I want to give you an invitation. You would be very welcome to come on one of our Zoo Book calls, but the problem is they'd probably be 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning for you. So
he'll still be up. He'll still be up researching. Don't worry.
Yeah.
If you want to come on one, you're welcome. But
thanks.
For sure. My email is bigfootamy, AMY, @gmail.com. I do have a Facebook page if anybody wants to friend me, and we are in the process of making a website for Project Zoobook. A lot of our scientists are more private about their interest because we say that even though they are very interested, it doesn't mean their employers would look on it. So we keep names and things under wraps if they want us to. So but we are working on a web page. It's just not finished yet. But the Olympic Project, olympicproject.com, I believe they have a website where you can learn more about what we do with that. And that's how you can find me.
Amazing.
Amy, thank you so much for this. I'm absolutely fascinated by your work, and I really appreciate you giving up your time to chat to Daniel.
Absolutely. And like I said, if you need other people, I will crack the whip and get my friends on.
Oh, amazing.
That'd be fantastic.
Okay.
Thank
amazing.
you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. See you in our next podcast.
Thanks, Amy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.